trying to speak up.
How did Devin look with the team?
Devin looked good. I believe this is his first workout. For any team, he shot the ball well. Came in pretty good shape. I believe he got 27 line touches in the 3-minute run. So he's an intriguing player, intriguing prospect. I think he's showed and will continue to show that he can do more than you might have seen watching Kentucky play. And, that's no knock to them. Obviously, they had a great year, and there's a reason they were 38-1. But they had so much talent that sometimes it's hard for guys to show individually all of what they can do. And he showed a lot of good things out here today.
His range from NBA 3 versus college 3, how did you tell today?
His shot held up well. He's pretty strong. I mean, he's one of the younger guys in the draft at 18 years old. But he's got very good technique, and he's got a beautiful looking stroke and good strength. So, some of these guys, you can tell that you can get in the weight room and add strength to make that a more natural shot. He already has it at a young age, and obviously it'll be a matter of repetition. But like I said, he looked pretty good in the workout today.
When you look at addressing stuff this offseason with your team, where does shooting and that outside three-point shot fit into trying to get better for next year?
I think it's a huge part of the game in the NBA right now. I believe the Cavs and Warriors are the top two teams in the playoffs in terms of threes attempted and threes made. So it's important. I feel like over the past couple of years we shot the ball well the first year, and until midway through this year we shot it okay, and then really tailed off at the end of the season. So that's a need for us. Now it doesn't mean we'll necessarily address it just via the draft. We'll look at addressing it in free agency, and perhaps by trade as well. But it's important for sure.
How much of an advantage is it for him coming from a program or have to defend?
It's important. I mean, there's a reason that those guys get the best players in recruiting. They develop really well too, and I think Coach Cal and his staff don't get enough credit for that. They really produce a lot of good pros. It's not just the top guys. This year their team, some of the guys stayed in school, but they'll have a number of pros on their team. They might set some kind of record. I believe they had 5 first-round picks a few years ago. And the practices are really competitive. That's what they do a good job of. I think sometimes as scouts, when you go evaluate a practice, if there's one guy there and he's so much better than everybody else, it's not really that beneficial. Their practices are really competitive, and sometimes I think they face better competition in practice than in the game. So I think that teaches you to defend, because for Coach Cal and for Kentucky, if you don't defend, you don't play.
You guys might set a record of Kentucky players on the roster through the draft.
In the backcourt especially, yeah, that's not a bad thing. They've had a lot of success over the past couple of years. It's not something obviously we try to do. We get the best players from wherever they come from, but we've ended up with, I guess, 3 of them now, and who knows? He's not the only good player in the draft this year from UK, obviously.
What abilities are you seeing in him beyond his shooting that are going to grow at the next level?
I think his ability to create some space for a shot. He made some plays out of the pick and roll. When you shoot the ball as well as he does, or he potentially could, I think you're able to lift some guys and up fake and use the ball fake to make plays or create space for your shot. Defensively he's pretty solid. He's still got a little ways to go there, but he's young. He's 18 years old. Physically he's able to do it. He's strong enough, he's tall enough, he's long enough at the shooting guard position. But I think that'll be the next step for him, like it is for most of these guys, especially the younger players in the draft, learning how to defend NBA caliber players.
You've mentioned maybe moving out of the draft or down or whatever. Is drafting one of the youngest players in the draft and having him sit for a year kind of the same thing, and just having a guy for the future rather than?
Over the past couple of years, and I think we do something I think will continue. Is just take the guy we think is going to have the best career. It's going to be the best player. If that takes a little longer, then we're fine with that. Archie Goodwin was one of the younger players in the draft, as you know, a few years ago, and just continue to develop. He was in here the other day. His body looks a lot stronger, and I think it's important to keep in mind with a guy like him that he's only 20 years old. So we're willing to be patient. We don't like to predetermine, obviously, how much or how little a guy's going to play coming in. As we tell our guys, on opening night of training camp, it's an open competition. Whoever's ready will play. But certainly something we'll look at. It's not like we'll just draft a 22, 23-year-old guy because he helps us more tomorrow. We try to figure out who the best player is and draft that guy.
Is it more difficult to project? You kind of talked about it, is the amount of talent, and that maybe he doesn't get to expand his game as much? Is that maybe watching his film harder than other prospects?
I think it does a little bit. You see specific things that a guy like Devin can do on film, especially the shooting and the individual defense. But yeah, more than that, I think these workouts are really beneficial. Again, talking to our scouts who work extremely hard and went to practice in the preseason and throughout the year, just seeing what they saw in practice, that's all valuable. Devin also tested well in the drills in Chicago, so that helps his cause as well. But it can be a little bit harder than watching a guy who is clearly the stand-up player on the team who had the ball in his hands for 30-plus minutes a night. Sometimes that's a little bit easier in terms of film, but we have so much film available now that we'll break down pretty much every game he played, every minute he played, and see what we see.
He shot very well at the rim. Was that mostly playing with other players, or was some of that foundation?
I think it's both. Yeah, I think it's both. They obviously had a lot of offensive weapons, but he does have a nice natural touch. He's some of the guys you have to tweak things about their form and their mechanics or the release point or whatever. He's one where you look at it and say, okay, we really don't have to do a whole lot with that. Obviously try to, like all these guys, get a little quicker, get them used to shooting over length. But some guys have that natural touch and feel for putting the ball in the basket. It looks like he has it.
Even though he's not at point, did having to play point help Josh Richardson show you a little bit more about his game?
Yeah, Josh is a young guy for a senior. He's 21 years old. Very good defensive player. He's long. He really improved his shooting over the course of his 4-year career. So he had a good workout here today. He's a guy that we haven't heard a whole lot about, I guess, buzz nationally. But he was impressive and quietly, I thought, had a really good career, especially a really good year this year at Tennessee.
Is your interview process more formal or casual conversation with you guys most of the time?
It's both. It's both. We met with a guy like Devin Booker in Chicago. A lot of the other guys we've had, and we met with them already in Chicago. Here, meet with them at different times in different ways. We'll interact with them informally. The gym is open. If players get in, a day or so before their workout, they're welcome to come down. So that might be a more casual setting. And then maybe Jeff or Lon or I or some of our scouts will take these guys out to lunch. Every single player who comes in, we have multiple staff members spend time with. Obviously, we wish we could. Jeff and I could spend time with all of them. Obviously, time is of the essence when you're doing workouts almost every day and bringing in 6 or more players. So, it's something that we like doing. It's a very important part of the process. Our scouts have done a terrific job of gathering information about these guys. So, we don't just ask them general, generic questions. Usually, they're more targeted, and we have some information about them and certain things we want to ask them about. And it seems like every year in the league, 12 or 13 years now, kids get more matured. Maybe it's because they play AU basketball, they travel around the country at a young age, and do interviews like this where they're exposed to you guys. But it's a pretty good group from what I've seen so far.
What's it like to see Bled in here so early? And it sounds like he's going to be here a while this offseason.
Yeah, it's great to see not only Eric, but with PJ Tucker in as well. He was in Friday and he came back today. Archie Goodwin was in Friday. Alex Len poked his head in for a while earlier today. So it's good. And not only it's good to see them and interact with them and see how they're doing, kind of away from the pressure and the stress of the season. But it's also good for, I think, the draft guys to see them. Those guys are here. They could be on the beach or on vacation somewhere in the summer, but they're in the gym working. They have an interest in the players we're bringing in to work out, and it creates a great environment, I think, and it makes the workouts more competitive. I think it gives the guys a little extra juice to look over and see guys sitting on the sidelines that could be their teammates next year.
You did meet with Devin in Chicago?
We did, yeah.
You did? Okay.